as the 2024 offseason continues, it's very interesting to see where quarterbacks are going to land with their contracts. Of course, we saw Trevor Lawrence get his deal, $55 million. Jared Goff get his deal, $53 million. And we still have two more bigger names on the board, of course, with others looking on to next year in 2025, but we're not going to look at them right now. We're focusing on two being Dak Prescott and Tua. And I already made a video about, over a month ago about Tua, so we're not going to talk about that. We're going to focus on Dak Prescott, who I've yet to discuss. And it's very interesting where the conversation is going with him. I've seen some people post that he's reportedly asking for $60 million. No doubt, I've seen a lot of reports just in general saying he wants to reset the market, be the highest paid. Whether that's true or not, we have yet to see, but you would think with Lawrence getting 55, Goff getting 53, he would want to be somewhere in that range, at the very least $55 million the way it's going. Same thing you could probably say about Tua and his contract as well. And this, I'm going to show you Dak Prescott's current contract. I'm going to show you the projected contract. All this is going to be on Spot Check, by the way, as well as the 2025 free agents, not only for Dak Prescott, for the Dallas Cowboys, and what decisions they have to be making. This also has to factor in as well. Another one that hasn't popped up yet is Michael Parsons. You'll see in 2025 he's not a free agent yet, but Michael Parsons is a top priority, no doubt as well. On top of everyone else. So we're going to look at the free agency for the Cowboys in 25 after the season, and it's definitely going to be interesting what happens. I mean, no doubt, depending on how the season goes, this could be a whole new identity for the Dallas Cowboys. We're talking about potentially a new high coach. If things don't go well for Mike McCarthy, he might be out as a coach, and who knows who comes in as a new one. To me, I don't think that's really out of the question. But you look at the big names that come on the board in 2025. Dak Prescott, of course, being number one on the board, face of the franchise, and there's also smaller ones like Brandon Cooks. I do expect them to move off of him after this year because of the money, and as well as him being 31 years old. I doubt they're going to give him a big contract, and I doubt he'll sign for a small contract, or want one, I should say. So he'll probably be moved off of, this will be his last year in Dallas. Zeke Elliott, same thing too. Maybe he can have a renaissance where he was there, when he was with the Cowboys the last couple of years, maybe 900 yards rushing, double-digit touchdowns. I mean, I don't know if that's in him anymore, but could have the capability. But still, maybe he comes back on a cheap deal with this one, like he did this year. But certainly won't surprise me if he's off the board. But the bigger ones like Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, no doubt CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is also another top priority for the Cowboys. Should be. For the other two, like Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, they are getting up there in age, and this is something where maybe the Cowboys just have to go through a small rebuild in a sense with that, of moving off of Lawrence. I mean, his average is 13.3. Zach Martin is 18.4. You look at the age, like Zach Martin getting close to 35. DeMarcus Lawrence just turned 33. That is tough decisions when you're talking about, for Zach Martin, a Hall of Fame guard. DeMarcus Lawrence, a great defensive player. And for me, this could be a case where they move off of those guys because the money's not there. It's getting tight. You look at the big three in terms of prioritizing to get paid is Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. And I saw someone kind of tweet this out as a question of who, if you could only pick two out of the three, who would you pay? And for me, getting into my right now into my discussion for Dak Prescott is I would pick Parsons and CeeDee Lamb. Now getting into Dak Prescott for his contract, this is what they project him to, on Spot Check, project him to get. I don't agree with these numbers. I think he's going to be asking for much more than this. I think he would not sell for 53. I believe he really wants to get to that top dollar, 55 at least, maybe even reset the market once again. And who knows if Tua gets his deal before Dak Prescott, that could even bump it even much higher depending on what Tua gets as well. He's looking for somewhere in the $50 million range as well. And he can also receive 55 too. But we look at what they project: 4 years, $212 million, average salary $53.06 million, and this would rank second in the NFL. Of course, this would be with Jared Goff as well. Actually, this would be a tad bit higher than Jared Goff as well, only behind Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. This one, I don't agree with at all. You look at his current contract right now. He is in his last year of his deal. He's set to make 55.4. He has a void at 2025 at 32 years old. He's an unrestricted free agent, so that could be a possibility as well. again, for me, when you look at the success, and definitely he's been statistically probably the best quarterback they've ever had. Now, I'm sure a lot of Cowboys fans would no doubt say Troy Aikman is the best quarterback they've had because of just stating the obvious, winning 3 Super Bowls for the franchise. I don't know how you feel about Tony Romo as well, but Dak Prescott is definitely in the mix of being one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in franchise history. Another one is Roger Staubach as well. So I don't know where Cowboys fans and people will rank Dak Prescott in there, but he's definitely been one of the better ones. You want to say at least top 3 in franchise history. Statistically, again, the best one, but it's the lack of playoff success. I mean, and he was definitely strong out of the gate. He had probably one of the best rookie seasons that we've ever seen. You can argue now CJ Stroud with what he did, but you look at the Cowboys in 2016, his rookie year, number 1 seed in the NFC, was had a meltdown at the end against the Green Bay Packers, but was that field goal away of going to a conference championship for the first time since 1995, 96. The last time they went there. So no doubt that was big. That was high praise, high standards that he came off right off the bat. Ever since then, it's just been stuck, similar to for my Bills. It's just making the divisional round. Certainly we've broken through and got to 1 conference championship in 2020, but same thing for the Cowboys. It's just the lack of success, kind of just hitting a wall, getting to the divisional round, getting close, but just can't get over the hump. And to me, it felt like even though they've made the divisional round, it feels like a lot of times, it felt like that 2016 season, his rookie season, was the best one or the most impactful one. Because after that, they did lose to the 49ers and such, but it just felt like in that moment, I don't want to say it just felt like it felt like destiny, but it felt like that was their year in a way. While he was playing, and how amazing Ezekiel Elliott was in his rookie year. Ever since then, it hasn't replicated that. Again, they've made it to the same distance, but it doesn't feel like it's come that close to that 2016 season. And then we had the embarrassing wild card loss this past playoffs to the Green Bay Packers, underdogs coming in for the Packers, and they basically blew them out. And the scoreboard was closer than what it showed, but it was an absolute horrible game from everyone on that Cowboys team. And that's something that should be taken into account, is that he has a lack of playoff success. Do you want to say it's not all his fault? He's only one guy. He can't play defense, this and that. I get it, but he's the face of the franchise. He has to find ways to win games. It may not be fair to put the blame on him in certain situations, but that's the position. We give them all the praise if they win. They get all the criticism if they lose. And you kind of look at Dak Prescott's stats. I mean, again, they are pretty good. He had a career year this year, and some talk. At one point in the season, late in the season, there was talks of him potentially being an MVP candidate and winning the MVP. You look at this year, over 4,500 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That is by far the best he's had. You can say similar to 2021 when he had just a little bit under 4,500 yards, just a little bit under 4,500 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Another one too is in 2019, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, almost 5,000 yards passing. Even in his rookie year, like we talked about in 2016, or 3,600 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I mean, he's had great regular seasons. There's no question about that. It's just, unfortunately, it's the postseason that just has been lacking. It won't show you. Of course, I have to go to a different site to show you the win-loss record, but I'm pretty sure he is 2-5 in his playoff career. And you look at it, it's stats aren't, I don't want to say horrible, but not bad. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception in 2016. 21 was bad, 1-1. That was 1 and done. That was the QB run against the San Francisco 49ers, if I do have that right, where they kind of ran out of time on the clock. 2022, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 511 yards. And in the one wild card game we talked about last year, or this past season with the Packers, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But you see the games, it's for out making the playoffs, was it 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 times, 3 of them are one and dones. 2 of them in where he went to multiple games. Of course, 2016 they were the number 1 seed, so they had the bye, of course, so they skipped the wild card, made the divisional round. But again, 1 and done with that. Again, 3 out of 5 times 1 and done. That's not good enough. You'd look at the 2 times made to the divisional rounds. It's once again, it's not good enough for the money that he is potentially demanding for. And at the same time, kind of a counter argument is there's in a tough situation because who else is there to replace him? This may not be a great, a great idea. It's, I think, to me, an idea that maybe they're potentially thinking about. I don't know if they can't sign him, is Trey Lance. And I know it's maybe an idea that no one really likes because of just how horrible his career has started in his young NFL career in San Francisco. You can argue based on the compensation they gave up to get him, 3 first-round picks, I think, along with other things as well. And it's even make it worse with the Miami Dolphins use those picks and flipped and what they got. You can argue Trey Lance is probably one of the biggest busts in NFL history because, again, what they gave up, the expectations, the pieces around him, and just the inability to live up to what he was able to do. He was immensely talented, physically talented, has the size, the speed, the arm. To me, I thought this was a bit, not looking at it now, a horrible take, but at the time, I believe Trey Lance was going to be the best quarterback in that draft class because of the situation he was in, what he was capable, he's shown he was capable of doing. Unfortunately, his injuries just riddled him there, and just inconsistent play, and it made it worse too with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, stepping in first year in his rookie year going to the conference championship game, second year going to the Super Bowl, and it made it pretty obvious that they wanted to stick with Brock Purdy as opposed to Trey Lance. Can't blame him. And he's still relatively young. I mean, 24 years old, I believe, 24, 25. He still has a lot of playing time left. And I do believe if you look at the tracker, he is a free agent as well. Yeah, Trey Lance, he just turned 25 years old. This could be a smart idea because he's not going to be asking for big money. He's not in the position to ask for big money. But certainly he has a talent there. He still has a capability, a much cheaper deal to surround him with talent. You can still basically treat him as a rookie quarterback in a way, even though he's been in the league for 5 years. I think this would soon be 5 years, or it is 5 years. He's still a rookie. You could still sign him for relatively cheap, surround him with talent. You're able to re-sign Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, and who else you want to put up there, as well as top priority. Maybe you can bring back again a DeMarcus Lawrence or Zach Martin, depending on what they want to do. If you want to start a new era and get rid of those guys, or you want to maybe keep them for another year or two, it's up to them. But to me, I think Trey Lance is the backup option. It may not be a great backup option, but I think it is a plan B if they can't get Dak Prescott on a contract. And again, for me, I just think for $60 million, it's ridiculous. And you can argue this for a lot of the quarterbacks are getting the money. I know there was the talk of the owners talking about maybe a separate salary cap for quarterback just because of how ridiculous the contracts are getting to. Again, with Trevor Lawrence getting 55, I think that is an overpay. Jared Goff, I understand because of what he's done in Detroit. I think it maybe is a little bit of an overpay, but I can understand that aspect of it. Again, Trevor Lawrence, I think it was a big overpay. Even some other ones, like not even reaching the $50 million mark, is just Daniel Jones, $40 million. What did he do to get $40 million? Nothing. It just, to me, that was a massive overpay. You look at Tua, what is he gonna get? He's probably gonna be overpaid as well. I mean, I know last time they gave him they did offer him a deal. I don't know if they even came out with what the specifics of the money was, but he turned it down. He's asking for reportedly $50+ million. I think, to me, that is a massive overpay. And Dak Prescott, depending on what he's asking for, that is still a massive overpay. And I know he's still in his prime, if you want to say. I mean, getting close to almost 32 years old. I know he wants to get one more big contract, no doubt. But it's for the perspective for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a tough situation because it's almost like you lose in both senses. If you pay him, you lose because you really cap stricken to him. You're stuck with the big money. I'm sure the guarantee money is gonna be huge as well, and you're gonna be given the same thing over and over again. Just very little production in the playoffs. I mean, great in the regular season, very little production in the playoffs, and you're gonna be stuck in this purgatory of just not succeeding. Or if you move off of him, and let's say you do go with Trey Lance in that aspect, and he goes horribly wrong, and he's like how he was in San Francisco, then it's a rebuild. It's a flat-out rebuild, starting over. Let me talk about potentially for Mike McCarthy, new head coach, high draft pick, probably looking for a quarterback. Maybe that works out too because you have Shedeur Sanders. Maybe you want to try and entice Deion Sanders to come here. I know it's a wild scenario to throw out there, but maybe that could be a blessing in disguise for that one. But again, if it doesn't work out for Trey Lance, basically starting over again. It's drafting a new quarterback, head coach, starting to reset, lower the standards. And it's very tough, and it depends on what Jerry Jones wants to do. Because I know last time when Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones were trying to get their contract done, it was a stalemate. It was very tense at times of how they I don't say how they acted, but how it played out. Eventually, Jerry caved in and gave him the money. I don't know if Jerry does it this time again. I'm sorry, especially for what he was, back in, what was it, 2019 when he got his contract. If you kind of look at that quickly. 2021 when he got his contract. Okay, I thought it was a little earlier than that, but in 2021 he got his contract. And the money, cap hit wise wasn't bad. If you look at 4 years, 160 million, 95 million guaranteed. I'm sure that that was something that they were okay with doing. Average salary of 40 million, but now you're talking about potentially maybe 20 plus million dollars on top of what it was originally. Maybe if they thought 40 million dollars would be a little too much, now add 20 million potentially over that, or at least 15 million more onto that. And I just don't know if Dak Prescott is worth that. And I don't think Jerry Jones believe he is worth that. And to me, it's very interesting to see how this plays out. Personally, for me, like I said, I wouldn't pay him, and I would. It's a very difficult decision. So it's a franchise altering decision to move off of him for what he's done and how long he's been there. But I think it's time. I think after the season, I think you let it play out. I don't know if you even want to try and trade him, because I don't think anyone would really give up top dollar money for him or top draft picks for him. I think you just let him play his season out. If you want to try and get something out of him, sure. But at the end of the day, it's franchise tag him if you have to. But at the end of the day, I think it's time you kind of cut loose. You let Dak Prescott walk, go somewhere else, and you give Trey Lance a chance, or maybe you want to bring in another quarterback, depending on how the 2025 free agency looks for quarterbacks, or you want to trade for one. Who knows? But I think you should give Trey Lance an opportunity and see what he does. Worst comes to worst, it's easy for me to say that, but worst comes to worst, you get a high draft pick and you get one of the top guys coming out in next year's draft, and you start over again with a new head coach, new quarterback, and hopefully it's much better. Hopefully you get someone that can play better, that can be better than Dak Prescott, especially in those big moments in the playoffs, and a head coach that knows what he's doing, and maybe kind of look at him weirdly like how we do for Mike McCarthy. So this year could be, I don't want to say the last dance, but it certainly is that for Dak Prescott, maybe for some of these guys on the Cowboys, for Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, whoever you want to throw out there. I think there's gonna be I really think there is gonna be big changes after the season. I just don't see Dak Prescott getting the big money again. If they do give it to him, it'll be a massive mistake, in my opinion, a massive mistake to give him that money. But then they will have to see how they value Dak Prescott.